You cannot talk about African leadership and the transformation of Africa without talking about Ibrahim Traore today. Everywhere you look, left, right, and center, he has been the center of the discussion in many African politics. He has become the reference. He has set a standard that puts majority of the African leaders to shame because of simple things. He is just doing the ordinary things extraordinarily, things that every other leader is supposed to be doing across Africa. When something is new, we all claim and say, maybe this is just a hype. People are just hyping him up, but it will fade away at no point in time. With Ibrahim Traore, I think he is a real deal. He seems to be a real deal. He's walking the talk. It's not all about talking or making great speeches, such as many African leaders do, but he is acting. He's doing what he says he will do. He is action oriented rather than just talk. In such a short period of time, he has done so many great things. Imagine out of a small, relatively small African country and a small population relatively compared to other African countries. But he has become the leader of Africa. And he has done so much in such a short period of time that many African leaders couldn't do in 30 years. So many leaders couldn't do it in 40 years, but he has done it in such a short period of time. But what does it take? It takes nothing but patriotism and the willingness and the political will to serve the people rather than serving yourself. And Ibrahim Traore is exactly that, a young leader with a heart for his people and for the continent, a young leader with a vision, a young leader who is a servant leader, who is willing to serve the people, who is willing to put the people of his country first before he puts himself, a young leader who is willing to build a palace for his people, not for himself. Remember, a leader who builds a palace for himself will never build a palace for his people. And this goes so far to prove a point that we've been always saying. We need a new generation of leaders in Africa. The old has failed to take the African continent forward to where it needs to be. So we need a new generation, new blood, new ideas, and they have a different mindset, so that we can be able to take Africa to the next step. It shouldn't take us 30 years or 40 years to realize or to see or to tell that you have failed us in terms of what we want to achieve at the moment. It should be 3, 4, 5 years. It's enough. A political term is enough for us to realize that, you know what, you as a leader, you have failed. You don't have a solution to the African problem. Can you please step aside? Give someone else a chance. Whatever it is, it could be conflict, it could be terrorism, it could be rebel insurgencies, it could be economic sanctions. If you don't have a political solution to those problems or economic solution to those problems, give a chance for other leaders to come. They might have better solutions than you. And may the gods, Allah, or whoever you pray to, can he protect this young man? Because we have seen what they have done to leaders like him in the African continent. What they have done to Thomas Sankara, what they have done to Emily Patrice Lumumba of DRC Congo, brutally murdered and dissolved by acid, what they have done to Samora Machel of Mozambique, a very, very radical leader. If you remember, Luta Continua, that was Samora Machel's slogan, saying the struggle must continue. And yes, the struggle has to continue. He understood very well that it doesn't end when you sign the paper that you are independent or a sovereign nation. You still have to decolonize yourself. You still have to continue the fight. And the global powers does not like leaders like that, because they know what they are capable of doing to Africa. They know Africa would develop if Africa has leaders like that. So they take quick action and eliminate them. It can be argued what happened to Magufuli, but so many people still of the belief that he was poisoned because he was also a servant leader, someone who was willing to take his nation forward, someone who was willing to change the lives of African people. And they do not like that. They don't want to see Africans getting better. They have no issues with these ignorant, corrupt leaders because they know those leaders are not going to develop Africa. They know very well that they will keep on benefiting from Africa, and Africa will remain in the state that it is today. Then they keep on looting our resources, keep on destabilizing our countries, keep on keeping us poor so that we remain their market. It is very, very clear that Traore is following the footsteps of Thomas Sankara, one of the great leaders Africa has ever seen. And I hope to see Ibrahim Traore becoming more successful than Thomas Sankara was. We are told that Thomas Sankara was a servant leader, someone who was humble, who did not believe in big man syndrome, who was patriotic to the country, who prioritized the people that he was serving first before himself. He never built a palace for himself. He only had a basic home to live in. He only had a basic car to travel from point A to B. I mean, and his favorite was bicycle and his guitar. And he never amassed wealth for himself or taking resources from the country to travel abroad and live a luxurious life. But he prioritized to take those resources and channel them into the economy so that the people of Burkina Faso lives can be improved. Same as what Ibrahim Traore is doing. We are told he is as a servant leader, as humble as what Thomas Sankara was. We are told that he rejected the presidential salary, which is massive amounts of money, and he said he would rather take his military salary, which was far less than obviously the presidential salary. He doesn't go around in expensive motorcades such as compared to other presidents in Africa. I mean, you think of the Ramaphosa's of the world, you think of the Mnangagwas of the world. Some presidents say to own Rolls Royces, while their people are sleeping in hunger. They don't have food, while people are dying in hospitals, but they are holding wealth to themselves. Ibrahim Traore is completely the opposite. That's why we say he puts these leaders to shame. He chooses to serve his people rather than squandering the country's resources and doing silly things. I mean, the same, even his family, even his children, if he has, they do not become celebrities overnight as the other politicians that we know in other African countries. Their wives and their children are celebrities. Many Africans would love to have a leader like that. Really, really, this is the leader that Africa needs. Africa requires a leader with a heart for the people and for the development of the people. Whatever Ibrahim Traore did now, there's no rocket science in implementing the things that he implemented. It just takes a person with a heart for the people, not for themselves. Someone who is a servant, who prioritizes serving the nation, taking the resources towards the betterment of the people, rather than the contemporary leaders that we have in Africa who do literally the opposite. I do not understand what kind of thinking they have. There is nothing complicated with taking control of your own mineral resources. There's nothing complicated with starting to refine your mineral resources. There's nothing complicated with starting to add value to your agricultural produces. There's nothing complicated in cutting costs and saving on the national resources and saying, I'm not going to take that fat salary of a presidential leader because you actually don't need it. Julius Nyerere was the same, a servant leader, someone who was humble and down to earth, who would speak to a common person, who had a normal family home, who never accumulated wealth for himself. Those are the leaders that Africa requires, not the leaders that we have today, not the Amazon Mnangagwas of the world, who are squandering the resources of the country for their own benefit, who are holding the wealth for the country, holding the country back, who travel in luxury cars, and with heavy security because they're scared. They're scared of their own people rather than anything else. And if you look at Ibrahim Traore, he chooses not to wear expensive suits. He shows up every single day. He is a soldier on duty. He is ready to build his country. Shows up in his military gear every day. No expensive suits for him. I mean, everything that he's doing is just doing the correct things that everybody else can do, as long as they have the political will to do it. And I don't know where Africa is going to get more leaders like that. And I hope some of the leaders in Africa are being challenged that they're going to change and start implementing some of these simple things, the basic things that a leader should do for his own people. And you and I, we have a role to play when we hold those democratic elections. We must put an effort in order to understand and select the right candidate. I ask your favor again, can you please subscribe to this channel so that we can grow the community, so that we can be able to build movements that can change Africa. That can only happen if we reach a certain level of audiences.